Spyro: The Realm Beyond has been announced, and with the news having been out for more than 3 weeks, I felt that I would do something that a lot of other Spyro fans have done in the past. Only now that the game was revealed, and we have just the littlest showcase we have so far, I want to make my own predictions for the new game. First off, I never made any predictions up till now because I had to come to the conclusion of not wanting to predict a game I didn't think was happening. And, though I never watched any of those other prediction vids by the other YouTubers, I saw no need to make one myself. But considering the new game and stuff, I thought it was a good time now to do so, considering that there's actually information going around. I have my suspicions and concerns, and I do not want this game to fail because I have waited years for this. It's insane, they better get this right. What I want to start with on this subject is the story. Something that this game kinda hinted at the most. I expect this game to retcon Enter the Dragonfly and A Hero's Tale, as well as having a lot of information and context to what's going on. Kinda similar to Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, and I imagine that I'll be okay with this, even if there are quite a few cutscenes and character dialogues, just as long as they don't block out too much game time. I would like it if the story was simple as the previous game's stories were simple and it was really just the gameplay we were there for. But like said, I imagine they'll make the story a little more complex from the original trilogy. If they do this, they should press on some world building and lore about this realm beyond, the new villain, and maybe even some backstory on Spyro himself. We don't know where Spyro comes from as far as the original trilogy goes, and it'd be kinda interesting learning some things like his importance to the dragons, or his parents even. And Spyro Dragon D61, if you're watching this, no, Sephiroth is not Spyro's father. I guarantee. Anyway, I just think it'd be cool to make Spyro seem more important as he is the main character. He has a purpose besides doing tasks for other people, and hopefully this game will show us what that is. Or not, but who knows. If you're curious as to why I didn't want to talk about other topics of lore for this, it's because there's not much we know about the new realm as is, so I don't think it matters yet. The next subject though, I have been skeptical on who the new villain is. Now, funny enough, I'm not the only one who's come up with this speculation, but by how the castle looks and that scary scepter, I believe the main villain is a dark sorcerer. Not just any sorcerer, but the sorcerer from the DS game Spyro Shadow Legacy. I feel that if they actually did make him the villain, it's because they wanted to give him a bigger spotlight, or they just couldn't think of an original villain idea. Either way, this concept doesn't seem lazy, and if anything it would probably fix what was Shadow Legacy. And yeah, my fan comic's also doing that. Somewhat. But it's not official and I want this to be handled in more proper hands like these people. But then again, the main villain could be someone else, perhaps someone original, or maybe they're one of the Legend of Spyro antagonists. I don't want this game to be like the Legend games, if you could tell, but including characters from those games and changing them up a little wouldn't hurt anyone, would it? Besides the villain possibly being someone familiar to an older generation of fans, I'm hoping we'll get to see some other characters like the ones from the original trilogy. I feel the most obvious to return would be Sparks, Hunter, Allura, Professor, and Bianca. 2 or 3 would probably not show up, but I'm crossing my fingers. Honestly, I don't like Professor anyway. And as for the 4 playable characters from Spyro 3, I don't know what'll become of them. Though I wouldn't mind if a couple of them showed up. If they did, they could fix the ones whose gameplay sucked. Or they'll probably not be playable at all. That's another thing. I don't know if anyone else will be playable apart from Spyro. Maybe there are Sparks minigames, maybe they introduce new characters, maybe they make some old characters playable. Hunter and Bianca I feel would be the most likely to get that treatment. I noticed Sparks wasn't in the trailer, which makes sense, but I'm hoping he appears in the actual game because Spyro without Sparks would be like Ratchet without Clank and Jack without Dexter. They need each other, so please keep Sparks. They could also bring back Blink the Mole. I know that fans hate this guy. I thought his levels were mid as crap, but maybe they could fix his style of gameplay and other things if they did go through with reintroducing him. But yeah, Blink returning seems heavily unlikely. Crunch Bandicoot will be playable in Crash Bandicoot 5 before then, and he's never been playable in a main game. Any other certain character in mind? Well, following the game reveal, I've already seen people drawing tons of fan arts in hopes that Cinder will return. I doubt she will, but I wouldn't mind if she did, unless she had a crappy actor or she's an irredeemable a-hole. Other than that, they can do what they please between her and Spyro. Enemies, friends, that After all, Toys for Bob did care about this character, her being playable in the Skylanders games and all, and it's proven that Nina Cortex was initially supposed to appear in Crash Team Rumble, so characters from old games can totally make a comeback. But I swear if those two young dragons from A Hero's Tale show up, I am gonna punch myself. Please do not add them. They had zero purpose and they're overrated as crap. People on YouTube will actually understand me unlike the fools on DeviantArt. That guy who says, trouble with the trolley, eh? Makes more sense to come back than these two. And also, as for some Skylanders appearing like Stealth Elf or Gilgrunts, there shouldn't be any Skylanders. They exist for their games, and this is a different Spyro. The kind who doesn't deal with these people. Next up, we have the gameplay. By the looks of it, the game will be open world, like much bigger than the original trilogy. And honestly, I like this change. It's needed, and with what they're going for, I can accept this. They did something similar in Spyro: A Hero's Tale, which was heavily influenced by Jak and Daxter when it came to open world and missions. So yeah, they needed that. The next feature, which fans such as I and follower Cody Merrill will be happy to know, is Spyro being able to fly freely. Now this concept was originally introduced in The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon, but this game might handle it differently. For example, I've noticed that in the little gameplay footage we have, Spyro will hover over fires to go higher, something similar to Assassin's Creed 2's flying machine mechanism. I assume this is a quick method to go higher without manually flying upward. It's a quicker process, but we'll see how they manage it. I came up with my own system of how flying would work. Double tap X. Then you can move in free flight with the analog stick. And if you want to land, aim for the ground. You can glide by holding X and stop entirely by triangle. This is just going off with how it would work in the PlayStation gameplay, but I also think that they'll do something similar to Nasty's loot in Game 1, where you have to reach a certain platform to expand the limit of Spyro's flight height. There's also this detail where he shoots these ball things and they turn into circles, in which when he goes through, he gets a boost. Technically, this might be for a challenge, where he has to do the classic fly through the circles thing, but who knows. I thought that he would have had a boost ability as a whole, which you can kinda see in those mid-air spins he does. He can still flame things, I just don't know if he can do anything else. He'll probably still charge. It'd be weird to introduce a combat system, as that reminisces certain things, so why not charge, flame, and head bash, and we'll call it a day. Though, he could have some elemental abilities to swap between, as he did in A Hero's Tale in the Legend trilogy, but I don't mind if they neglect that detail. What I want mostly out of this, which is what I love about Spyro as a whole, is exploration. Being able to collect things like gems or dragon eggs, or maybe even new items. If they do this, then I'll be satisfied regardless of what they do with some other things. Some, not all. Now for what we do know, because I'm done predicting. Tom Kenny will return as the voice of Spyro, from what I know. He's honestly the most iconic voice of Spyro, as well as video game wise, excluding SpongeBob games. It's Spyro who comes to mind when I think of him. Actually, I don't watch SpongeBob, so I actually like Spyro more. As for the music, former police member Stuart Copeland will not make the new soundtrack due to the game's modern setting. There have been games without him in the series in the past, and I do like the soundtrack in some of them. Try to replicate the music to Stu's OST, just make it sound more modern if you have to. The game is set to release in spring 2027, around the same time as Sonic the Hedgehog 4 movie, unless of course they delay it to summer. Hopefully they don't, and they actually had time to make this game unlike TT with Crash Twinsanity. And finally, out of simplicity, the enemies in this game I think will be called the Scavs. There's nothing much else I know about them, other than those 4 details plus Spyro's redesign, which I'm okay with. That's all I know about this new game. So with that, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Are you excited for the new game? Are you not? And do you think anything I said in this video is valid or true? And what would you like to be in the game? Comment that below if you will, or don't. I'm nervous of what direction this game could go, but if Canadian Guy is right, and Toys for Bob legitimately cares about this project, then I think we're going somewhere good. But that'll have to be decided for later news, and the actual announcement itself. Anyway, like, subscribe, click the bell, read that silly comic I'm making, etc. And good night, America.